Okay, thank you for your patience. I know we've already done introductions, so we can just briefly do it again. I'm Melissa Fitzpatrick. I'm a professor of business ethics and sustainability. Background's not in business. Background is in philosophy, so I have my PhD in philosophy. Other judges?
My name is Marianne Aguilar, and this is my third year as a judge. My background is in marketing. I worked in marketing for about 25 to 30 years and worked in a variety of different areas of marketing.
Perfect. And I'm Jeff Thies, and for the purpose of this, I'm a former healthcare executive for a multinational integrated healthcare delivery system here in the United States, and before that I was a direct mail marketing executive.
Perfect.
And then just brief introductions, your names. I know you introduced yourselves to me, but.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. Well, I'm Manuel Leisegui. I'm a student of business administration at Universidad
No.
Iberoamericana.
Don't say your institution. Okay.
You didn't hear that.
We didn't.
I'm Adan. I'm in industrial engineering major.
I'm Regina Gutierrez, and I am in communications.
And I am Maria Inés Nazar, and I'm also in communications.
Wonderful, welcome. So I'll just lay out sort of the context to make sure you're good to go. So in this part of the competition, you're taking on a fictional identity. We are also taking on a fictional identity, so just make sure in the beginning everyone knows who is who when you start. So you'll have 25 minutes. Will it be helpful if I put up like a 5-minute warning, or do you, or do you want to have
We can have like a
phone or something?
Like a
I'm
phone
okay
or-
with that if you have it.
I don't know.
Yeah, if you want to lay one out, that's totally
Yeah,
fine.
okay,
So you have
perfect.
25 minutes, so I won't give a warning because you'll be tracking yourselves. And then when you're finished, we'll stay in our roles and we'll ask questions for 10, 15 minutes. And then when that's done, we'll have just sort of informal feedback that we'll give to you.
Perfect.
So yeah, the
All
floor
right,
is
Yeah.
yours.
If you're good
Thank
to
you
go,
so
we're good
much.
to go.
Yes, everyone's good to go.
We can start.
Perfect.
So, now.
All right, good morning. Thank you so much for being here today. We are Eco Solutions Consulting, and today we're going to be talking to you about sustainable energy production, more specifically, the solution that exists within biogas. You, our audience, are going to be Iberdrola. Iberdrola has been trying to join the natural gas market for a couple of years now, but our proposal as a consultantry is that they switch instead to biogas, which we will get into further in the presentation. Our team is composed of our financial advisor, Manuel, our legal advisor, myself, Regina, our strategic consultant, Adan, and our ethics advisor, Maria Inés. Eco Solutions is a sustainable consulting firm that seeks to increase the competitiveness of companies that are committed to circular economies. These are the SDGs that we all know. However, during this project, we will be focusing mainly on SDG number 7. This is the affordable and clean energy solution for everyone, which ensures access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable modern energy for all. So to give you a little bit of insight on what we're going to be doing today, we're going to start by giving you some context, followed by an analysis. Then we'll move on to production, followed by the financial aspects of our project, and finishing off with the legal and ethical. So now to get a little bit more into depth into who Iberdrola, you guys will be. Iberdrola is a Spanish company that advocates for promoting the transition towards a new socioeconomic model that is climate neutral, resilient, sustainable, and inclusive. They focus mainly on energy generation, distribution, commercialization, innovation, and sustainability. They have received the Iberoamerican Quality Award in the Gold category. They have been recognized by ANOR for its commitment to environmental sustainability. They are recognized as a world leader in renewable energy. And they won the award for Best Business Transaction for the sale of combined cycle plants in Mexico. Iberdrola's mission is based on creating value sustainably in the development of all its activities, benefiting shareholders, employees, and customers, and other stakeholders, as well as society in general. However, they do have a couple of opportunities for improvement. They had a fine for irregular energy sales. They had an arbitration for the Topolobampo plant. There was conflict over the Nuevo León plant. They faced an investigation for irregular energy sales. They had a second arbitration lawsuit, and they have been accused of fossil fuel emissions on multiple occasions. Here we can see an example of the Spanish court trying to investigate Iberdrola's CEO in an alleged spying case. This poses a clear imaging issue for Iberdrola. Then they have also been accused of trying to lead the energy transition while still remaining hooked on fossil gas, which is terrible for the environment, but we will get into that in a second. And finally, they have been criticized for greenwashing gimmicks while still expanding gas-fired power. This is Iberdrola's carbon footprint all the way from 2019 until 2023. As we can see, it has remained somewhat stable. However, our goal as a consultancy would be to help them lower their carbon footprint in order to create a descending trend within the graph. My colleague Maria Ines is going to be talking to you about the problem more in depth.
So, what is the problem we want to solve? First of all, global warming. In Mexico, there's an increase of 62% of polluting emissions from carbon dioxide between 1990 and 2019. Also, 64% of total polluting emissions in Mexico come from fossil fuel consumption. There is an increase in diseases such as pneumonia, asthma, COPD, and other respiratory issues. 1,680 children under the age of 5 die each year because of poor air quality. And what are the main impacts in this problem? First of all, in the ecological part, there is an increase in global temperatures, extreme weather events, and damage in ecosystems and crops. Increased temperatures lead to melting of glaciers and polar ice, contributing to the rising sea levels. In health, there's a disease known as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and is the 4th leading cause of death worldwide, accounting for 5% of annual deaths. And if these emissions stay high, agriculture is going to decrease. Corn fields could drop 24% and wheat 17% globally by 2050. So here my teammate Alan is going to explain you the solution that we propose.
Well, now you've heard that the problems are increasing and are really worrying. We know that we've tried solutions with Iberdrola also. We've tried wind energy, solar energy, but we've faced a lot of problems on trying to get to the next step. No? First of all, the intermittency. Okay, I mean, you can only produce solar energy depending on the sun, on sun position, on certain seasons. And wind energy, you need big fields, you need specific locations where the wind is at certain velocity to produce the energy. We have a problem with that one. So also the lack of large-scale storage. We haven't found the technology to store the amount of energy to supply to communities, to the world. No, we failed in that one. Also the high land use. We contribute to the environment in a bad way by utilizing a lot of space. Here with wind energy, birds have suffered from this. A lot of space is used. And well, the inability to adapt to demand. No, this is more in the financial, this is more in the technical way. We can't cover up the demand of energy needed in the world. Also due to intermittency that causes overproduction or underproduction. So this is why they haven't been efficient. So our solution, can pass to the next one, it's a hidden gem. Okay, that maybe some of you have heard or know, but I'm gonna introduce you to it. It's biogas. Biogas is a renewable fuel, such as the other ones. It's produced from anaerobic decomposition of organic waste, such as food scraps, such as manure from livestock, or agricultural residues also. Here's a little diagram that you take all of the residues, introduce it into a tank. The process happens in here, and you end up generating two main products. There are energy and gas generation. So we're not only solving the energy generation issue, but the gas generation also. So, I can go to the next one. So against the energy generation, the advantages that we have are that we can be producing 24/7. We do not depend on the weather. We depend on residues that are constantly being produced. We know manure from cows, that is the main one, is the one that makes more efficient our project. And the organic residues, they keep producing. We have the control of the energy demand, more stabilized. We can produce more or less energy, which is really great. It's a low land use. It uses around 20% or less of the other energies to produce the energy. And we generate a circular economy. I didn't tell you about it, but we have 2 subproducts from this process, and I'm going to explain it later in another slides. And with this one, we would not only capture CO2, that is the working gas, but methane. Methane is a gas that we're ignoring a lot with energy generation, that we're ignoring a lot to control, but we can capture it here as it emits from organic residues. When you throw up waste, organic waste, when you see manure thrown out, it emits methane to the air, that it's highly polluting, and we're going to talk about it in the next place. Also in the gas generation, we're competing against natural gas. That has been the other solution that Iberoamericana has also done, but this one is renewable against the fossil fuel. We generate circular economy, and this one is non-renewable. We know the reserves of oil are limited, and we reduce the CO2 and also the methane emissions. Here only the CO2 emissions. And the profit is higher in the long term, and this one is shorter in the short term, higher in the short term, sorry. But I'm going to explain this one. The ways that we have, it can have the cost near to zero. So in the higher term, having that cost to zero will give us an advantage for overtaking natural gas in terms of profit. So it's a win-win in terms of electricity and gas generation. You can go to the next one.
And now, moving on to our market research. We decided to do this in Mexico because Mexico is ranked as the 5th worldwide in meat production. Also, agriculture exports. In 2023, Mexico became the world's 7th largest agriculture exporter. Here we have a graphic that shows the parts that have more livestock, that are the dark green parts, and we put the 3 locations of Mexico that we want to start this project.
We're going to introduce you later, but first of all, everything is happy when you're one of the best agriculture producers and everything, but what that produces is methane. Mexico is 10th place in methane emissions worldwide. We contribute a lot to global warming, that we already know the problems that has. And 36% of the greenhouse gases in Mexico are coming from that one, are coming from methane. And this is a worrying fact. 1 ton of methane heats up the planet around 36 times CO2. So we can see that we're just ignoring methane, but this is a way we can also contain it and generate electricity and gas from.
And also, we want to start in Mexico because fossil fuels generations are really high and biogas is really low. We can see here that fossil fuel consumption and gas and energy generation is 66%, while the other energies are really low. And of biogas, there are only 3 big plants. So it's a good way to start in Mexico, so we can increase that energy source.
So in terms of gas, we see that biogas has grown some more, but we're still around 5% against natural gas and oil gas. We can surely replace those ones. The thing about biogas is that not a lot of people know it. There's not a lot of information, such as wind energy, such as natural gas. There's not this big projects for us to show the world that we can do this solution also, and that it's a very efficient solution. We can go to the next slide.
And how much is the Mexican gas market worth? So it has been increasing over the years. In 2020, it was $103.9 billion, and it has been increasing. In just 1 year, it increased until $177.8 billion. And in this research, it shows that between 2023 and 2030, it's going to increase about 3.4%.
So the production plant will start in 3 cities. We'll start in Nuevo León. That is a place that has been growing a lot in terms of industrial plants and in terms of business recently in Mexico. So what brings us to that? Also CO2 emissions, methane emissions. We'll start in there. Then we'll go to Hidalgo, that is known in Mexico for fossil fuel generation from electricity. They have these big plants of fossil fuel. They are contributing too much to the CO2 emissions of Mexico. And then we'll go to the state of Mexico. That is a place that is highly polluted right now. People in there can't even drive their cars in certain seasons of the year due to pollution. The life in there is just irregular, you know. So that will be the 3 points that we'll start. We'll start in terms of electricity, up to 7,000 houses per year in the first one. And in the gas, in terms of gas, we'll be starting up to 30,000 houses per year. So those are big numbers. That will be how we'll start. And, well, this will be the benefits. We'll capture around 15,000 tons of methane per year. Also, we'll avoid about 388,000 tons of CO2 per year. We'll reduce the carbon footprint, not only in CO2, but also in methane. We'll reduce global warming, and we'll generate a circular economy, another advantage of our kind of generation. Here's the circular economy model, how it's gonna work. We have the plant here. We have the two main products that I told you about, that it's electricity and biogas. But we also generate from the process digestate. This one works as a fertilizer that can be used in plants in yields for they to grow. They can feed the livestock, and we get the manure again for keeping producing again. Also, the generated heat. We know that that energy generation, that renewable energy generation, are not 100% effective in converting into energy. But that percentage that we're not converting, it's heat that we can or reduce it in our plant and keep using it in the processes, or send it to industrial plants, to restaurants, for example, for their processes, and then get organic waste from them and keep on working. So the financial part will be brought to you by my teammate Manuel.
Yes, well, we saw not only how this project is sustainable, we're gonna see also how it's profitable, that it's important for all the stakeholders. So I would like to start with the plant construction costs. We need to make the infrastructure in order to have the biodigesters that are gonna turn the methane into energy production for all the consumption in the houses in these three cities. Well, these three places that connect to all the cities. And in order to do all three plants, we need $46.9 million to start with the project. Can you help me? Then it's also important that we take into consideration our operative expenses, which are all the raw materials, all the rent of the land, also the labor and indirect costs that are also important in order to keep producing this methane for the energy generation, that can be electricity or water, for example. For that, we need $4.5 million per year in order to operate all the three plants. So taking into consideration the plant construction cost and also the operative expenses, we can have an initial investment of $53 million. If we take a look at the cash flow, that is the money coming inside the firm and outside the firm each year, we can see that the opening balance is in zero, but we have an income of $53 million, that is our initial investment. So with that, we can construct the plants. Here we can see them in expenditures, also some operative expenses that are not of the entire production because we haven't produced anything yet. And we close the balance with 4.7 million. If we remember the operative expenses that are $4.5 million per year, we can start producing during the second year. And you can see an increase also in the closing balance. Second year and third year, we're gonna be producing more time by time. We're gonna be increasing production. And until year 4, we stabilize finally all the income and expenditures. So we can see there that we're making some money. And can you switch that? And well, if we look at the value of money over time, we can see that first year we don't have any sales because we'll be in construction, but you can see that the EBITDA is negative the first year, and well, the net income is negative. Now, during the second, third, and fourth year, we finally be having sales, so we can reflect that in the net income, also taking into consideration depreciations and amortizations that are basically the plant construction costs over the 20-year project. And well, the break-even point, that is where we finally gonna get the investors their money back and we're gonna start making some real profit, is around the 10th year. So the first 10 years we're gonna make all the money back for the initial investment, and we're gonna make profit the next 10 years of the project. And the return of investment is 1.7%, which basically shows that this project is profitable. And we're also gonna continue with the legal part. Regina is gonna help us with that.
Okay, so moving on to the legal aspects of our project. First, it is important to see a couple of terms. So Mexican law and Mexican government recognize bioenergetics as fuel that is obtained from biomass from organic matter, such as livestock, agriculture, and forestry. Then biogas is recognized as gas that is produced with a biological conversion of biomass. Renewable energy is energy that is considered inexhaustible, such as wind energy or solar energy. And finally, generation is a successive conversion of energy from renewable sources into other forms of energy. Now, a couple of laws that are important to take into consideration while creating this project is first the promotion and development of bioenergy law. This law basically tries to improve energy diversification as well as increase sustainable development. Then we have the electrical industry law. This tries to create sustainable and efficient energy within Mexico, while also meeting public needs and reducing emissions in order to reach clean energy goals. Then the energy transition law. This law tries to regulate sustainable energy, reduce emissions, while maintaining competitiveness within each sector. Finally, the circular economy law. This is a sustainable and regenerative law that that holds companies accountable for their consumption. And it looks to production in order to redesign, reuse, and recycle. Another law that is super important to take into consideration is the tax income law. This law shows us the 100% deductibility offer for investments that are within renewable energy. The 31st article tells us that investments in renewable energy are deductible by applying maximum annual percentages, and the 34th article, more specifically the 13th clause, indicates an 100% deductibility for machinery and equipment in renewable energy generation. Then the duty of care is an ethical and legal obligation that institutions have in order to ensure the well-being, safety, and protection of the environment as well as its citizens in a renewable context. In a renewable energy context, they have to create sustainable solutions for the citizens and for the environment. Something that goes hand in hand with the duty of care is the Plan Mexico. This is a plan that was announced by the Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum in January of this year. This plan seeks to transform the country's energy matrix in order to reduce polluting emissions as well as strengthen energy self-sufficiency. This plan rests on 4 essential pillars. The first one is strengthening the Federal Electricity Commission, so this includes more public sector investments. Private sector participation also seeks to increase the investment of private sector, investment in infrastructure, and finally the transition towards clean energy. My colleague Maris is going to talk to you about the ethical aspects of our presentation.
So in this project, we view the ethical aspect as our main focus. Our key points are: we view transparency and honesty as one of our core values. Also, we want to create social impacts and sustainability. Because we are aligning with the circular economies, we are aiming to reduce the pollution and also increase public health. We want to create awareness in companies so they can promote their services in an ethical and sustainable way. So, what are the benefits of a good air quality? That is one of our main goals as a consultancy. There is better respiratory and lung health, a stronger heart and improved circulation, and not just that, it also has an impact in the mental health, such as improved sleep and brain function, and boosted mood and energy levels.
So, about circular economy, well, this is a hidden gem that we'll also create that has not been seen in energy generation. We recycle waste, we give it a second life, get it to work, and will also help us in the future, as I explained in the last diagram. The resource efficiency, we're not gonna waste energy, we're not gonna waste residues, we can control our production. So that's really great point for us in energy generation, that it's not seen in energy generation. And well, having a sustainable economic system. This is pretty important. Why? Because, I mean, the community that we are, the communities we reach, the countries that we reach, they will have this sustainable economy. More in agriculture, that is a business that doesn't talk too much about, but it contributes a lot to global warming. So this way will also contribute in that way. So circular economy is also an ethical aspect that we'll reach. And we'll close up with the most important of it, that is the transition to clean energies. Let's do it now. We have all these technologies, we can do it. The problem of biogas, the main problem is that it's not well known everywhere. We know that there exists a lot of energy generation ways, but biogas is one that can be used in a lot of places, making energy transition efficient. We won't overproduce, underproduce. That's one of the main problems, and we can reach it out with biogas. We need to give the turn to it. We can meet the energy demand. It's been rising, and it will keep rising over the years in Earth. Computers will keep showing up, will keep up showing a lot of electricity use. So we need to keep up on that energy demand. And let's reduce the global warming emissions for once, okay? We've tried it, we've made mistakes, we can learn from those mistakes. I'm not saying that biogas is the only solution. We can work with other energies, but we need to get biogas to there. We need to get biogas to that levels, and we, Iberdrola, we can do it now. We have all the technology, we have the perfect place, we have the legal aspects, everything to do it. And well, I think that the time is now. We just can't keep having these big hurricanes, we just can't keep having this glaciers melt down. We have fires also, I think in LA here. I mean, there's a lot of problems that we can solve right now. We can do it, and this is the solution. And I think that the time is really now. We don't need to wait more because the technology is here, so let's do it now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here and listening to our proposal, as well as for helping us to create a better tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll start with just a question. The first, I have a couple of questions, but I want to start with this one. So I appreciate, this is great, a gem, so interesting. This technology is something I'm not aware of, sounds groundbreaking in many ways. You highlight methane emissions as kind of like the silent killer that all the big treaties in the globe are not focusing on compared to other types of emissions, so that's fantastic. But I hear animal agriculture being a huge part of what's facilitating the biogas process, and animal agriculture is a massive part of the problem in general. So what I want to better understand, because you bring up health as something, sort of like well-being is what this is promoting, can you explain how your solution is going to temper the really massive issue of the methane emissions from animal, like how is it offsetting it? Is this sort of like creating like a zero space, or like there's no, like does it fully, what's the word I'm looking for, cancel it out in a sense? How does this fix that problem rather than just putting a little band-aid on something that feels much bigger?
Yeah, thank you for your questions, and we're open because we know this is a new technology, and there's gonna be a lot of questions. So, like around 44% of emissions from methane come from agriculture, so that's why we're going in there. And with this initial plant, we're reducing agriculture with these three plants.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the goal will be to be leaders in this one. You know, I mean, to get to a lot of agricultural zones, and we can reduce a lot of emissions from there because I don't say the cows, everyone produces excrement,
Mm-hmm.
which right now is not being picked up. I mean, it's all live there, and it's producing methane to the air.
Mm-hmm.
So we can really lower up those methane emissions coming from. I mean, we know that we can see we see these diagrams where it's like greenhouse gases. You always see a cow in there, you know, but we sometimes don't realize why.
Mm-hmm.
So we're using that waste to produce the energy, but also we, I mean, when we introduce the excrement into the biogas plant, it has zero emissions of methane to the air. I mean, we all of that waste, it just won't contribute to the global warming. So it's a really great technology. Really, I mean, I'm also surprised that it hasn't been taken to the next step, you know, because
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone want to go to.
Is anybody using that technology right now? Does it exist anywhere?
In India, they've been using it.
Interesting.
They have also great agricultural activity. But there's places, as we show here, as Mexico. It can be also used in Brazil, in China. That are big agricultural producers.
Mhm.
So in India has been used, and it has been proved that it's bigger in profit in the long term than, for example, natural gas or other kinds of energy. So it's been implemented. We know that Indians always take some steps that we sometimes don't know. But yeah, it has been implemented in India, responding to you.
And also in Mexico, actually they are trying to implement it, but I think the other natural energies or natural gas, it's like what we are used to. So it's very difficult to integrate something that is new
Yeah.
to a whole country, and that's why we want to be aligning with this company.
Yeah, as my teammate mentioned, that I forgot to mention, Mexico has been used. It's really low use. She showed that it's only 3 big plants
There are only
of our capacity.
yeah.
But one is used for waste, for water treatment, for recycling water. These big plants, they sort the energy to the plant by biogas, 100% by biogas. So it's also been used in Mexico. I mean, it's going to be something that we don't need to get too deeper for they to know, because they've used it. And also in Monterrey, that's a city in Mexico, they used biogas to produce around 40% of the energy of public transport, of metro, for being more specific. Yeah, so it's been used, but it hasn't given the next step. And I think that Iberdrola really can be the leader in that, really can give the next step. Also, not only use it in Mexico, but we can go worldwide. I mean, be an example also for other companies to compete with us also, and really reduce these methane emissions.
That's
Methane,
the
it's way too worrying for climate change.
Yeah.
And I really think that we can do this project.
How do you see, as a board member, right?
Mhm.
And we have an investment in the company that we currently have. How do you see kind of rolling out this new, I know you said the 3 plants and the investment in that, but how does that then get to the consumer? In other words, am I gonna have an option on my bill, for instance, to, go in one direction or another from you guys?
As a consumer.
Or, how does the whole thing kind of work in a big picture, I guess?
I'm gonna make a question to you just to know if I understood well your question.
Yes.
So you're talking about the house consumption in the
Well,
energy process, or?
How, as a board member
Uh-huh.
of this company, right?
Uh-huh.
You're talking about introducing an entirely new format.
Okay, yeah.
How do I integrate that into what I have right now? In other
Okay.
words, are we looking at 25% of our production would be through biogas and 75% would stay as it is right now for the first 5 years, and then slowly kind of move over into completely biogas? And then also
Yes.
on top of that, how does the consumer take in this new information?
Well, first of all, Iberdrola helps with making a lot of energy to different types of generation, including also solar and wind.
Okay.
And this is gonna be a market that we're gonna take, like a substitute product, particularly more to natural gas that comes from fossil fuels. And it has like a very similar use to it. And well, Iberdrola is afterwards gonna sell it to these companies that bring the electricity, well, the energy already to your house. So mostly houses won't really know if it's biogas or
Okay.
not. They are not gonna reach to Iberdrola, so they will change all the system in their house to produce the energy of the electricity and for calfaction and all of that.
Okay.
But Iberdrola is gonna have like all control over the production and over the sale of biogas in order that cities can supply their demand for energy, mostly in houses and for electricity purposes.
Okay. Okay.
And also you, as Iberdrola,
Yeah.
we want to do it, like you said, not all at the same time.
Right.
Because you're not used to that
Yeah.
gas production. So it's important to be lowering, point by point by point, till we can reach to a good percentage
I mean, our goal is for it to be a seamless transition. So
Yeah.
you, as a consumer, you probably wouldn't even notice a difference if you're using bioenergy to using energy produced from fossil fuels.
Yeah, I mean, just as solar, that you have to have the panels, and you have to
Yeah.
do a work as a consumer for you to be sustainable in terms of energy. You will realize, I mean, just some certain part of the gas will get to you by biogas instead of natural gas. But it will do the same function. It will function the same way, you know, and also in electricity. I mean, you just will use the light, but you won't realize
Yeah.
where it comes from, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a silent, sustainable project.
Did that answer the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you very
you-
much.
In Mexico, if cows disappeared tomorrow, would there be enough biofuel to be able to sustain this solution?
The good part of this project is that it's not only with the cows waste. It also can be with another animals waste, and also like general organic waste.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
cow is for making the process more efficient. But for example, the water treatment plant that's used biogas, they use agricultural residues, not cow manure,
Okay.
for they to get their production going. So you can do it, but yeah, cows are really important. And right now, I think it's. I mean, in Mexico and not in a lot of countries, we have a lot of cows. We have a lot of a population, but yeah, we can produce energy.
Without
I had a question about your map. So you had a map that had Nuevo León, Hidalgo, and Mexico, right?
Mhm.
Are those the locations of current plants, or is that what you're proposing?
What we're proposing, yeah.
So
more
I was
ac-
confused.
Sorry, go ahead.
So could you show us that map?
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's where livestock activity is more prominent. So
That
where-
was my question, because it seemed to me that you showed that if I know my Mexican geography, I think you showed this. No, it's the one with the concentration of
I think it's a little
dairy. Yeah. Oh, next one. It seemed to me that you were showing that there's a lot of cows in Jalisco, but you're focusing on Hidalgo. So could you help me understand that?
Yeah, thank you for your question, because we also know that these places are high in agriculture.
So, but why not Guadalajara? Why Hidalgo?
Why Guadalajara and Hidalgo and not all these states?
No. Why Hidalgo and not Guadalajara?
Okay. Well, first of all, because there is also a plant in Guadalajara.
Oh, okay.
There's a biogas, one of the 3 plants. I mentioned the water treatment
Okay.
and the metro, but the other one is Guadalajara, the third one.
Uh-huh.
So they're already implementing that solution. And Hidalgo, because I told that there is this fossil fuel energy generation plant, big in Hidalgo. So a little bit to diversify the energy generation in Hidalgo and to reduce their CO2 emissions. That's why we're heading there.
Thank you.
We took in consideration agricultural activities and also CO2 emissions. So it's getting to the break-even point, let's say that way, of those two.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
No, thank you for your question.
I'll ask just one more question just to give you the opportunity to flesh out a dimension of what you've argued here. So you say it'll take about 10 years to get the investment back. You've done a really nice job environmentally justifying that. And I was hoping you could give us just more of a punch, because you're telling us we need to take ethics seriously. You said it's the most important part of this whole project for you. So give that justification. What exactly is this going to do ethically? What is that justification kind of in a nutshell that we can really stand behind and show, like, this is the positive thing that we're pushing? Can someone kind of like flesh that out, or give us kind of like encapsulated what
Yeah, I mean,
you see that to be? Because it's going to take time to get the money back, so
Yes.
Yeah.
we want to make sure this is justified.
Yeah, it's gonna take time, but it's gonna be a really great example of that transition. So the energies can be done in the right way. You know, I mean, contribute a lot to just stop these events that happen. There are species that are getting extinct. There, I mean, children, our children. I don't know if you have children now, but the quality of air that they're breathing, it's really low. I mean, so I think we can really take a step forward in that, you know, I mean, and help in many aspects to the world, you know, but much as example. also for other companies, for everyone to implement this kind of solutions that are efficient, and that work.
And it's not just that. It's also an investment in your health, because so many people invest and like put a lot of their money in health and in doctors, and we know that system is increasing time by time, and by doing this you are investing also in your health. So you can have like that awareness that maybe it takes money to produce these energies and this gas, but also you are like decreasing the percentage of money you spend on medical doctors and medicine and etc.
Yes, in Mexico, this breathing in in Mexico City, if you breathe in a whole day that's very, very polluted, it's the same to smoking 40 cigarettes, which is absolutely insane for one of the biggest cities in all of Latin America. So our solution not only reduces CO2 and methane emissions because you're converting to a more ecological form of energy, it's also capturing methane and CO2 producers that already exist, like cow manure that releases a lot of methane into the air. So you're capturing that and you're converting it into something that is more sustainable.
Also,
Can I ask one other question?
Sure.
I want to try
Or
to.
did you want to, before we,
Oh, please.
before,
Yes,
I think we
I
wanted to
just
add one
wanted
more
to
thing
add
and then you can,
something. Like also comparing with other energies that are clean, like solar and also wind energy, this is more effective. So over the long term, it's a better solution overall, and that way we can give a better quality of life to everyone, reducing all these gas emissions to the earth.
Maybe this is picking up on the first question that Melissa asked. Aren't you really showing us that Mexico needs fewer cows? Mexico needs fewer cows. Mexico needs less methane. So your solution is good. But it's small, 3 plants, but there's too much methane. So aren't you really arguing that, especially because of the harm in Mexico City and breathing, that Mexico needs fewer cows? How would you think about that argument?
That's a good way to see it, and also like I would like to add that, for example, in the peninsula of Yucatan, that is the south of Mexico, we have a big production of turkey, and they also make manure. But the difference is that if you look at the manure of a cow and the manure of a turkey, and you compare the methane emissions, in order for us to produce it, it's better to work with cows. And also considering that the economy of Mexico, it has a very big percentage of the money comes to the country from agriculture, particularly cattle, mostly in the north. It's gonna be a transition that maybe this project can turn into other types of manure, not only cows, but the consumption in Mexico and the culture of eating like a lot of food made out of cows makes it difficult to eradicate, or reduce the number of cattle of that animal in particular.
Yeah, and this project is, the 3 big plans are for us to create the impact, to give the example, but we can also, do many more plans. In a lot of places, this is a starting point for us to give the step. That's the most important part. And then we can also reach out to the northern regions. We can reach also to the southern regions that are also producing a lot of manure. So this will be the starting point for us to give the step, to us to take lead, to be there, to the presence of us. And then we can expand all the way in Mexico, and as I was telling, we can go to other countries. For example, Brazil, it's a really great place also for biogas, and it's a big place also. So that will be the first insight that we have, these 3 plants, but we can go higher. That's the plan.
Also, we don't want to lose the diversity of the animals in Mexico. Like, I know that it can seem like the excrement of the cows is like the problem, but we want to take like a natural advantage of that, so there is not like decreasing in fauna of Mexico, and just like making something that we don't know that can be used as a really good new source of gas production and energy.
Yes, thank you for the observation though.
Yeah.
Yes,
The
thank
project
you.
is going to be useful in the long term to think about it.
Any other questions? Okay.
Well,
We can get out of character now. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you very much.
General,
Thank you very much.
General feedback, did either of you want to start?
Yeah, of
on-
course.
You guys did really well, and I want to just congratulate you, and I really want to honor that you're speaking English, not Spanish,
Oh,
or
yeah.
your native language. I have had professional roles where I only worked in Spanish, not my native language. I know how hard that is.
Yeah.
And so you did really, really well. And to stand up in public speaking in a language that's not your native, just congratulations.
Yes,
So that's
big
really
time.
wonderful.
Explaining
you.
complex things, like absolutely,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
When you do that professionally, this is what I've had to do, is when I was ever preparing anything formal, I always ran it by a native Spanish speaker first, so that they could correct things. So, for example, you had one of your phrases, you said initial investment, but you wrote inicial
Yeah.
investment. So it's Spanglish, you know?
There was a few in there, yeah.
So just
Good.
moving
Typos.
forward, it's just something I learned because I made mistakes. So just something to help you think about.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'll follow up on that. Really great job. I second that. It's so impressive, and you did a wonderful job, especially when you're thinking of answering questions on the fly. It's like, I can only imagine what it is to go from the different registers in your brain. I thought this was well done, well researched. The ethics came kind of late though, and I think that the ethical punch should come right away in terms of the like why this matters. We need to know, it's like we know we have this issue. Like I said, the sustainability and environmental piece was so clear. Love the circular solution, that's fantastic. This is something everyone ought to be investing in, this kind of technology. But don't take for granted that we understand how the environmental dimension relates to all the ethical things that you get to toward the end, but you can really flesh that out. It's like well-being. What does that mean? Why do we care about that? Like, what are sort of like the positive values that hold those things together? So this is maybe advice you can take for tomorrow too, to keep in mind as you think through sort of like a real hardcore ethical pitch on this. It was there, but I think it could have been even more forefronted. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, very well done, and I echo what they said. I can't imagine doing this in another language, but it really interesting topic, something I know nothing about, and it sounds like it's cutting edge and right on the forefront of moving in the direction that we need to move in these days. So kudos to you guys for finding this and exploring these ideas, and really the 40 cigarettes a day in Mexico City. I mean, we can all really relate to that, and that kind of gets to
And
the
that could
ethical
be in
thing
there.
too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are the things we need to
Yes.
see to be like, oh, no.
Right. I don't think anybody forgets that statistic,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
So, yeah, I agree with, bringing that stuff to life, and it shows how important these things are. So, super complex topic, and I think you guys did a really good job of explaining how it all would work. So, thank you.
A nice
so
presence
much.
and energy. We appreciate that.
Thank you so
And
much.
I probably shouldn't be observing this, but am I looking at SDG earrings?
I know. I noticed. No, they're just gold.
Oh,
But they look like it. I had the same one. I was like, no. Okay,
Is that
extra
it?
point.
No?
Yeah.
No, they should be.
They told. I had the exact same
I
thought.
know.
But I was like, no, it's gold.
That's not a bad idea though.
It looks like it.
Somehow
psychically
I had the
you
exact
knew.
same thought. Okay, awesome. You're off the hook. Enjoy.
Thank you so
Good
much.
job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
for the
much. We
feedback
really,
and all the
really
questions.
appreciate it.
Yeah, because this kind of
Absolutely.
projects needs a lot of feedback for they to keep working as it's
Keep
like
it.
new technology and stuff.
Let me tell you a story. So a couple of years ago, I did this project in class. A student said, my family owns major dairy operations here in California. And so we have been working with this methane problem. And so what they did is they invested in methane, basically tents that would capture the methane and turn it in. And it wasn't a biodigester system,
Yeah.
but it was just taking the methane directly from the manure and then converting that into energy the way in which you described. So it's a different technology solution that could be implemented at the place of production, right? They would bring together all mounds of manure, put this over it. What was interesting also was that the farms didn't want to make that public
Okay.
because of some concerns about
regulations maybe or something like that?
No other sustainability is popular.
Okay.
Oh.
And so it really had to do with
It's
the
unfortunate.
I know.
culture, yeah, but I mean, so that part of what I was thinking is how would you navigate this in, you know, Chihuahua and Durango, the places that you're identifying, is this something that would be popular? What would be the process of selling that into the operators? All of those kinds of things. And anyway, so just reflecting that one specific case is kind of interesting.
Okay.
And I'll give like,
Yeah, it's interesting.
I'll just give one more tip, because with Jeff and I going with the cattle angle, I think it'd be wise also to frame it in terms of, like you said, I don't know if it's a fauna issue necessarily, because I'm guessing these animals are kind of like,
Yeah,
they're like,
fine. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, but just acknowledging that you can't eliminate, that's not something that can be eliminated,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
of
this
course.
is something that's culturally important, it's an issue that the world is gonna have to solve at a certain point. So it's not sustainable, like the way dairy and beef operates, we know that for a fact. This is an awesome solution to it, but also just recognizing that context could be helpful, just for the way
Okay.
people receive it, where it's like, we can't eliminate all the cows. This is
No.
not, maybe
Yeah.
one day, right? And we don't want to necessarily,
No.
but this is, with the situation we have, this is a great way to go.
Yeah, of
Okay,
course.
got
Yeah.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Good job.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.